Supreme Court rules against the public reprimand of judges by Nasir Iqbal, 23rd December 2021. Islamabad, the Supreme Court has observed that public condemnation of a judge not only harms the moral and the confidence of the judge and his colleagues, but also lowers the public trust in the judicial institution. Justice Syed Mansoor Ali Shah made his observation while expunging stricture, strictures passed against two district judges by the Lahore High Court LHC. The LHC, while deciding appeals against the judicial orders of the two judges, held that their conduct in a particular case, prima facie, seemed to be dubious and passed strictures against them on June 22. The judges approached the apex court for the redressal of the grievance against this picture and direction passed by the LHC. They argued that the impunged strictures and directions passed against them were in derogation of the principles enunciated by the Supreme Court in the 2019 Nusrat Yasmin case and urged the court to expunge them. In his verdict, Justice Shah wrote, public reprimand of a judge of the lower court regarding his judicial conduct by an appellate court while sitting over his or her judicial decision, either by recording a stricture or a censorious remark in its appellate judgment, or by summoning the judge and reproaching him orally in the open court, does not behove the judiciary of a constitutional democracy, which boasts of the independence of its judiciary as its salient pillar. Every judge of the court of this land, from the highest to the lowest, should be protected, the Supreme Court observed, adding that this immunity applied unto every judge to ensure that judges remained free in thought and independent in their judgments. Justice Shah also recalled the principles enunciated in the Nusrat Yasmin case, which highlights that an appellate court should not pass strictures relating to his efficiency or conduct in its judgment against the judge of the lower court whose judgment or order was impunged before it. Likewise, the lower court whose judgment or order was impunged before it, and in case of procedural errors or irregularities in the proceedings, may bring the same to the notice of the judge concerned through a confidential note separate from its judgment. These principles also stated that if the appellate court considered that a judge of a lower court had exhibited great inefficiency or committed serious misconduct in discharge of his judicial duty that warranted disciplinary action, it might ask the competent authority or the officer appointed by the competent authority to deal with such complaints through a confidential report. The authority or the officer concerned is to deal with such confidential report and proceed with it as per the relevant service laws, rules, and instructions. calling lower judiciary the backbone of the country's judicial system. The Supreme Court noted that district judges performed onerous task of dispensing justice at the front line by dealing with a huge number of cases in a difficult and demanding environment. The judges of higher courts must appreciate the stressful and challenging conditions in which they work. The verdict, the Supreme Court verdict added. According to the Supreme Court judgment, the judicial system acknowledges the fallibility of judges and can provide for appeals and revisions. The higher courts every day come across the lower courts orders which are not justified either in law or in fact and modify or set them aside. This was the function of an appellate court. The judgment highlighted, adding it was of ten said a judge who had not committed an error was yet to be born. This applies to all judges, no matter how high or low in rank they may be, it stated. As intemperate or extravagant criticism of the ability of a person having a country view was often founded on one's sense of his own infallibility. This must be avoided, and the judicial approach should always be based on the consequences that everyone might make a mistake, Justice Shah said. While examining the decision of a court below, the higher court was to assess the reasoning and the legality of the decision challenged before it and not the ability or conduct of the author judge, he said, explaining that the latter was disciplinary authority's function. The higher court could, however, defer the matter to the disciplinary authority in the manner illustrated in Nusrat Yasmin's case only on the administrative side, the judgment contended. Unless we wish anarchy and to prevail within the judicial system, a precedent of the apex court of the country must be followed by all other courts, which owe unflinching fealty to its decisions under the Constitution, Justice Shah observed. He said, ignoring or refusing to following the controlling precedent Nusrat Yasmin case of the Supreme Court announced to judicial effrontery offended the constitutional mandate and weakened public confidence in the decisions of the apex court of the country. In the end, the Supreme Court expunged the strictures passed against the district judges with an observation that the Lahore High Court judge should act in accordance with the principles settled in the cited precedents if deemed it necessary.